So far, I've been doing everything I can to persuade you to do a business plan. Now I want to take a few minutes and show you what a plan actually looks like. And what I really want to talk to you about is planning for profit, creating a profitable desk. Not a desk that's driven purely on sales, but one that's driven on having a full bank account. Now, when it comes to profitability, out of every commission dollar you generate, there are 4 categories that we have to divide that money up into. Now, they're not equal categories, so I don't want you to think it's like 25, 25, 25, and 25. It will depend on your business, what you want to do, where you're going, and maybe even where you are in your life. So the first one is, out of every sale that you make, a certain amount of your money has to be set back aside into your business. Got to be put back into your business to help you grow your business. Now, one of the problems I see often with salespeople is they sell a house and they spend the money, and then they don't have any money to invest back in their business. So again, they're frustrated. The money you put into your business today will attract tomorrow's clients. So we have to always take a little bit off of our revenue, set it aside for our business to help us grow our business. Now, out of that same commission check, you have to pay your mortgage. You have to pay your groceries. You have to pay your electrical bill, your gas bill. All of that is part of the responsibilities we have. So when the money comes in, we got to put some money aside for our business, and we got to put some money aside to cover our personal obligations. After that, we need to carve out some of that money and set it aside for our retirement. Now, one of the things about real estate is we don't have a pension. So you need to be thoughtful about what the twilight stages of your career looks like. And the best time to start for your planning for your retirement is right now. You want to set some money aside from each transaction, be it into a 401k, an RSP, or I would like to see you every couple of years buy an investment property. I mean, who knows real estate better than you? You know location, you know when it's a good deal. And often I find salespeople will sell their very best deals to other clients instead of keeping one for themselves. Now, I don't suggest you go out and buy another house every couple of weeks, but I would like to see you put something on the calendar every year or two. I'd really like to see you get towards retirement age and have 5 or 6 investment properties that were fully paid for, that were generating a positive cash flow. We're not even discussing the equity or the increase in value that you've experienced over the years that you've owned it. And don't lose sight, the tenant is the one that reduces your exposure on that by paying the mortgage every month. Now, that's a whole other conversation and it's a whole other topic, but it's all part of every sale we make, setting money aside for our retirement and investing in our own financial health. And finally, if you do all of those things in that sequence, then you should be entitled to a new sports car or a new house or a trip, a condo down south or a cabin on the lake. Whatever it is you want, whatever your goals are that drive you and give you purpose, it's all part of the package. Now, here's the funny thing about most salespeople and why they're frustrated. They get that sequence backwards, and they treat themselves to rewards without investing back in their business, and then they're frustrated when their business isn't making the kind of money they want it to. The first thing I have to tell you about the sequence is the first place you got to make sure you put money out of every commission check is back into your business. Because if you don't look after your business, you're not going to have a very good personal life, you're not going to have any money set away for retirement, and you are certainly not getting that new sports car. So that's the sequence: business, personal, retirement, and then your rewards. Now, how much you put into each bucket is up to you, and it's all part of your plan, the plan that you're building. So you're going to look at all of this and figure out what percentage of each check is going wherever you want it to. So I often get asked, can you show me a sample business plan? So let me take you through this exercise and give you a first-hand look at what a business plan might look like for a real estate professional. The first thing I want you to do is create a budget. And your budget is in the case of your business world, it's going to be your business expenses. So we want to add up all of our business expenses, figure out what that looked like for the past year. How much money did you spend on your car and your errors and admissions insurance and your board dues and your marketing, your advertising, your hardware, your software, whatever that looks like. Let's come up with that number because we're just forecasting a number now. Remember, it's just a budget. We're going to take a look at our last year's numbers to try to figure out what next year's numbers might be. It's our best guess. Think of it that way. Then I need you to think of your necessary personal expenses, your mortgage, your groceries, your electrical bill, that sort of thing, because we got to meet those commitments. Then I want you to take a look at your discretionary expenses. That's basically your entertainment. So what do you do for fun? Because you got to have some fun in your life, and you want to add the discretionary budget to your necessary budget and your business budget, and then we want to figure out how much you want to set aside for your investing and your retirement, what you're going to do with that, we need to come up with a number. What does that number look like on a monthly basis? Then we want to multiply that number by 12, and now it's going to give us an idea how much money we got to make in a year. That's our take it to the bank number. These are the things that we are committed to, the things we can't ignore, the things we have to do. It's not necessarily our stretch goal, it's our take it to the bank goal. So let's just take you through an example of what this might look like. Let's pretend for argument's sake, and I know this number is probably low in most markets, but let's say your goal was to make $100,000 next year. And the average sale in your market was $5,000. So how many houses would you have to sell? How many deals would have to close at $5,000 a deal to make $100,000? And yes, you're absolutely correct. You're going to need 20 deals. So 20 deals closed. Now the next question is, if I need to close 20 deals, how many listings or BRAs, buyer representative agreements, am I going to have to sign? Now, not everybody who agrees to buy a house from you actually buys a house. And not every seller who agrees to list a house with you successfully sells their house. So what was your percentage last year on the number of signed commitments you had to the number of closings you had? I want you to figure out what that number is. Now, if you don't know what that number is, let's just, for argument's sake, use 75%. So 75% of all the signatures you get actually close. So if only 75% close and we need 20 transactions, how many signatures will we need? How many committed relationships will we have had to enter into to get 20 closings, make $100,000 at $5,000 a transaction? We're going to need 27 signatures to get 20 transactions. That equals 75%. The next question then becomes, how many appointments do you need to go on? Now, I can tell you that you'll go on a listing appointment with a seller and they'll want too much money for the house. No matter what you do a cost approach, you do a comparable approach, you can do a weighted approach and break it down brick by brick, and you can price the house based on the poundage. You can rent a helicopter and do an aerial approach on value. At the end of the day, there are some people, no matter what you show them, what you tell them, they're not going to want to list their house at that price. And you're going to need to walk away, because taking an overpriced listing is only going to frustrate them and frustrate you. And that's a whole other conversation. We'll cover that in the pricing session. But the point is, not everything you sign, not everything everyone you meet is going to sign. So my next question is, what is going to be your ratio? How many appointments do you need to go on? I like to use 1 in 3. So some people want too much. Other people don't want to pay my commission based on my service model that I've developed. And I usually find 1 out of every 3 is kind of the sweet spot. So if I need 27 signatures, I'm actually going to need 82 appointments in terms of getting a 33% conversion rate. So that means I got to see 82 people to get 27 people to sign listings, to get 20 sales at $5,000 a transaction to make $100,000. Now, the next question is not just how many appointments, but how many conversations are you going to have with people to get that? Now, let's just say you had 10 conversations, 10 really specific real estate conversations to get an appointment. So that would, and if I need 82 appointments, that means I'm going to need to talk to 820 people. Now, if we looked at the average year and we said we were going to work 50 weeks and we were going to work 5 days a week, that would mean you would have to have 3 conversations a day to book 820 appointments to get 820 conversations to get 82 appointments, and so it goes all the way through the exercise. Now, the point is, the real number here that you want to focus on is 3, because now we've taken your annual goal, we've broken it down to the number of appointments, we've taken it down to the number of signatures, we've taken it down to the number of closings, and we've worked it all out to the number of conversations. The question you need to ask yourself, or the number you need to know, is how many conversations do I need to have every day on a 5-day work week to meet my obligations and meet my goal? Now, if my number was 100 and I had to have 3 conversations a day, what if I decided I wanted to make $200,000? How many conversations a day would I have to have? And yes, you're absolutely right. The number is 6. So you understand the math on this. What I want to do is break this down into bite-sized pieces so you know exactly every day what you got to do. Now, if you don't make your calls today and you don't get any appointments today, what does tomorrow look like for you? And you need to be constantly made aware. If I didn't make the calls today, I got to make 6 calls tomorrow just to get back to where I should have been in the first place. And then we'll take a look at the quality of the calls, the people you're calling, what you're saying. I mean, we're going to really break this thing down as you go through all the different sessions with us. But I just want you to have a bit of an idea of what's in front of you. Now, if your revenue is higher than you expected, your things are really working out for you, and you're checking your numbers against your plan, keep going. Don't slow down. Pedal to the metal. full on, give it 110%, full court press. And then my question to you is, what's causing the increase? Is there something you're doing that's had a big impact, something that maybe we didn't plan for, but you've had an awareness? It's like, oh my gosh, this is really working for me. Well, then if it's really working for you, my suggestion is do more of it. That's what's working right now, because the market is fluid and things are always changing. If whatever it is you're doing, it's working, then do it again, do it again, do it again. Hit the repeat button and keep doing it, because at the end of the year, you're going to have a lot more than what you planned on, because you've come across a strategy. Maybe it's a neighborhood, maybe it's what you're saying, maybe it's an opportunity, something's happened in your marketplace, but you really are working it and it's making sense. Now, if all that's happening, what I want you to do is put some money away so that you can invest back in your business, invest in your retirement, and grow your business even further than where you are right now. Now, if your revenues are lower than you expect, and I get this call all the time from people, it's like, the house is on fire, they call me and they say, hey, my revenue's down. And my first question is, tell me about your prospecting. 9 times out of 10, they're not talking to enough people and they're frustrated because they're not getting to where they want to go. Success in real estate is really about talking to people every day. The more conversations you have with people every day about real estate, conversation with intent, the more appointments you're going to book. The more appointments you're going to book, the more signatures you're going to get. The more signatures you're going to get, the more commission checks you're going to cash. So if you were asking me, there's a direct line from the amount of money you make to the amount of people you talk to every day. You want more money? Talk to more people. It's that simple. How will you generate more leads is the question that you and I should be having. You're not living up to your financial obligations. You're going to have to do something different. So that may mean talking to more people or talking to a different type of prospect. And have you been cutting your commissions is the last question I ask people. Because if you cut your commissions, then you're going to have to sell more houses. It's just mathematics. We did our plan based on you selling 20 houses, but if you cut your fees, now you're going to have to sell 22 houses just to make up for the difference. So I need you to know that everything's connected. You need to have an awareness. And when you make a change in one area, it has the butterfly effect. It affects other areas of your business. If your expenses are higher than you expected when you're doing your monthly monitoring, the question I have to ask you is, where are you overspending money? For instance, maybe you have a new strategy on some sort of online marketing that's really having a positive effect. You stumbled across it. It wasn't in your plan originally. Now you're doing it. We need to adjust our revenue to be able to compensate for our new expenses. So maybe instead of doing 20 deals, you're going to need to do 21. But that's okay, because your new technology is driving that business and it should have that kind of impact. I just want you to have an awareness about it. Or was it a one-time expense? Like, for instance, one time in my class, I dropped my tablet and smashed my computer on the floor. We needed to replace it. It was almost $3,000 to replace that computer. But herein lies the issue. It wasn't part of my budget. So of course that one month my budget's out of whack by $3,000 because I hadn't planned to break my computer. Now, it's a one-time expense. It won't be there next month or next quarter. So you want to have that awareness. This isn't an ongoing expense. It's a one-time situation that needed to be dealt with. If new expenses are going up, you need to update your budget, is basically what I'm saying. Now, if your expenses are lower than you expected, that's not always a good thing. I mean, you put some money aside for marketing and maybe you've cut back too far. Yes, your bank account's bigger than what you planned on and it appears you have more money. But you got to understand that if you don't spend money today, you affect tomorrow's opportunities. So it's really about the money that you're going to take from every commission check and invest in your business to attract more clients. You got to put money in if you want this thing to go. One of the most common conversations I have with real estate agents is that they're frustrated their business isn't performing the way they expected. And why would it perform that way? They haven't put any money in. You got to buy marketing. You got to spend money on advertising. You got to get out there and take some risk. Remember, fortune favors the bold. And cutting back on your marketing is only going to hurt your business. So this will give you a good overview of what a budget looks like.